Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. If you've been feeling like getting new patients has gotten a lot harder today, yes, it has. This conversation is for you. I'm Dr. Frank Clayton. I spent 25 years running my own dental practice, ultimately sold it, but what made it really click were growth systems within the office. And one of the main drivers of that was marketing. It was the foundation for it all. And I'm not a marketing guy, but I found some good ones along the way. Not only who understand marketing, you can find a million of those. You've got to understand dentistry together. And there's a company that does that. I actually used them for 15 years. And joining us from that company, from Amplify, is Gary Wilson. He's Vice President of Client Success at Amplify 360. He lives in the data every day. We live in mouths and in the chair. Gary does this. He's going to unpack what's happening now with AI because it's a big buzzword. It's real. It's here. And he has seen hundreds of independent dental practices across the country and helping them grow the business online that's changed even in the last 5 years. And I need you guys to hear what we're talking about today because it's very different than what we talked about just 3-4 years ago. Gary, really glad to have you. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Frank. I really appreciate it. Glad to be here as well. Just for anyone who might not be familiar with us, Amplify 360 has been in the dental field for over 30 years. We exclusively work with, dentists, primarily dentists, but also oral surgeons, orthodontists, the dental niche to help them attract more and better patients to their practice. I have been in this role for about 11 years. I transitioned here from legal marketing. The joke I always like to make is we're the same business model. You're having a bad day if you talk to a lawyer. You're having a bad day if you talk to a dentist. So that has informed kind of how we approach this because we like to look at all ends, how you attract those patients, how you can get them to yes, right? Ultimately, as a lawyer, that was always my goal, was to get somebody to yes. And that's what we work with our practices, is getting their patients to yes. A big piece of that right now is just finding general basic visibility. There's been more changes in the last 18 months, honestly, last 3 months, than there have been perhaps at any other time since I've been doing this. Frank, you probably remember this too. Back in the day, we sold ads in the yellow pages.
They're actually yellow. For people that are young, it's actually a big book with literal yellow pages in it, a big, thick book.
Yeah, they used to be very, very thick. And, that was the old school optimization, was you tell somebody, hey, start your practice with an A or a 1. And, we'll get up further in the yellow pages. Google Ads radically changed all of that, right? Google Ads came in and you don't get yellow pages anymore. They're not delivered. Nobody really uses that. Google became yellow pages. That's what's happening now with AI. AI is to Google Ads what basically Google Ads was to the yellow pages, right? It is completely transforming how people are searching for dentists, how they're finding dentists, how they're accepting treatment even. And it's the most radical transformation I've seen in over a decade of doing this.
Yeah, it's changed. It took the yellow pages had been around forever. And then there were mailers, still are, but the rate that it's changing is something that you guys need to understand. And I say you guys, I mean dentists. Amplify understands this. The rate of change, knowing dental and knowing business, is huge. And what Gary's going to help us understand in that is actually what's changed in it. You watch it or you hear a friend or you see on message boards, things are changing and it's so much, it's hard to comprehend. So you say, what has changed? What it's going to mean for your office, and what profitable dentists are doing, because you can throw a lot of money at marketing and not get anything to stick. And it's very frustrating. Let me just interject. A lot of you have responded to the email that we had on our AI visibility report, and you might want to have it handy to compare the data. And if you didn't get your report, take this down, text AI to 470-704-3982, and you can get in on this. Gary can help you. People at Amplify can help you understand what's going on. We don't want to overwhelm you with stuff today. Gary's just going to tell you what's out there and things that you need to know. This is not a fad. It's actually happening, and you guys are going to be a part of it. And I love talking about this stuff because it can really change the way your practice grows. Used to, in the yellow pages, you'd set a passive ad there. And Gary, that ad would last for a year and the rep would come to your office, and Google Ads kind of killed that. So it went from something very passive to very active. Tell me what the new playbook looks like as far as how rapid it is and how you guys at Amplify keep up with it.
So right now is a really interesting time because you kind of have to do both. You have to use last year's playbook and this year's playbook because we're really in a transitional period where, you couldn't do an AI only approach because not everyone has adopted AI, but enough have that if you don't do it, you're going to miss out on, a third or fourth of the market at least. But as you were saying back in the day, you could just almost kind of set it and forget it with some of the Google ads. You do it, you optimize once, and you can buy your way to the top. You can't really do that with AI, right? It's a lot more sophisticated. There's a lot more information going in there. And we're seeing an immediate squeeze, right? When we look at practices that are running ads-only strategies, this used to be, pretty easy. If you threw enough money at something, you'd have success. Those searches are down about 18%. Like we've got a softer market. We've got huge things happening in Google right now as far as changes go. So that ads only strategy is not working near as well. When we've looked at diversified strategies, that's where you're seeing the AI integration, still using ads, still using SEO, still using review and reputation management, still using a lot of the traditional tools you might have used for the last decade, but adding AI on top of it as an additional layer. We have seen 11% growth for a lot of our clients there in terms of new patient volume leads. So there are still patients that you can get in front of. It's just the how and why and how you do it is different than it was. Even, our slide said 18 months. Honestly, even 3 months ago is how fast it's changed.
Honestly, that's so true. So it's changing so rapidly. What are the practices doing and what are you guys at Amplify doing to keep up with that?
Really, there's 3 big pieces to it. So there's one where almost everybody does this, right? You've probably heard this. Over 2/3 of prospects read reviews, right? So that's why Google, Facebook reviews, Meta reviews have always been so important. Prospects reads those. Google also uses them. Reviews are a signal of authority, of reputation, reliability. So having good reviews, having a good business profile on Google is a huge factor in your AI visibility. But almost every dentist has that.
Yeah, that's
right?
become commonplace now, right?
Exactly. It's starting one, right? It's marketing malpractice not to get somebody a good Google business profile, right? That's exactly where you start. But that's where a lot of them end as well. So that's not enough on its own. It's still really important. We still have to optimize for that. You still need to do local SEO. You still need good reviews. You still need to ask your patients for reviews. None of that have changed. But there's additional things that have come on it. If you think about how people interact with, like, say, ChatGPT, with Google, you might just say, dentist near me. ChatGPT, you don't really do that. You ask it a question like, who's the most gentle dentist near me?
Yeah.
Where can I find a female dentist near me? Right? People are using AI to ask it questions, and we're seeing a lot more what we call affinity searches as well. People getting very specific in what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Like female dentist is a huge trend right now, but even gentle, soft touch. What dentist has the lightest hands nearby?
Which is amazing about, before you had to nail those words. So I remember going over this and you had to say, oh, dentist near me, dentist who love the Atlanta Braves near me. I mean, we covered everything. I would think of everything everyone searched, but with AI, you're able to drill down to, just like you said, you could get so specific, and that changes the content of what, as a dentist, you're sitting there trying to follow all this, thinking, well, what can I put in there? That's why I left it to you guys, because it gets to a point where, honestly, it's overwhelming to keep track of this. And I didn't say I gave up. I just handed it off I worked with John Riley with Amplify for years, and you guys took it and ran. And now you're even running, seems to be faster and in different directions, because this is growing so fast. So it seems like the goal with AI can really find depth and relevance, which AI, just like Gary was saying, no longer is it just a search bar. you really get specific in what you're looking for. Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. One of the ways we do that is with all of our clients, we like to sit down and do a video shoot with them. And we actually optimize for AI. And we're like, hey, what are people asking in the marketplace? Like, what questions do they have specific about procedures? And then we record video based off of these questions. One of the main factors, one of the things AI loves to look at is YouTube transcripts. So it's actually the second most common AI signal for dentistry behind Reddit. And Reddit is difficult to optimize in. We have made some attempts there, but it is largely a male user base, which normally in dentistry we want to target towards the moms. So it's not a one-to-one match. Where we've had a lot more successes with YouTube, right? Creating these videos, and all those transcripts get uploaded to the website, which gives AI this knowledge base about you, right? When you're able to sit down, talk about your family, talk about your interests, talk about your passion, talk about how you do dentistry a little bit differently. Right? You know, I work with some holistic practitioners that have a different view on things, right? Those are kind of questions we can answer and give in depth of what this means, how we're different, and why people care.
It's almost created in number 3 on the list is like your niche. Before you would say cosmetic dentist, and now you can get so specific and AI can find it. So what happens if you don't? If you just left things the way they were 10 years ago, are they even listed on Google? Do you show up at all? Do you just get left in the dust?
You're going to get left in the dust. So a great example with this is working with a practice in suburban Baltimore. That the dentist was talking to us during the video shoot, and he mentioned, hey, you know, I really enjoy doing gold crowns. I don't get to do very many of them. I maybe only do 3-4 a year, but it's probably my favorite thing to do. And we thought, let's at least put it on the website. You know, there's not a huge volume of people searching for gold crowns, but let's give it out there. If it's something he's passionate about, let's market it. So we built out some content on gold crowns. We got him talking on video about gold crowns. And an interesting thing happened. Was in AI, he started showing up for gold crowns, but he started showing up for other terms as well. So he became the niche authority in the Baltimore area on gold crowns because there was not other content in the Baltimore area about gold crowns. What that did was it sent an authority signal basically to the AI that, hey, this is a good website. Once you've been indexed for one topic, it's a lot easier to index for other topics. So then he started showing up in other lists, like in the general you know, who are the best dentists near me, the most gentle dentists. He started showing up in the AI overviews for those. And the secret, because we've since been able to replicate this, is just to find a niche that kind of no one else has content on and write about it, right? And it's kind of, I don't want to call it a shortcut because it's actually a lot of work. It's a lot more effort. Our sites are getting 2 to 3 times the size they used to be. But we're getting pretty granular, and it's giving AI the information it needs to determine what sites are best. And once it determines the site's good, it's going to give you a lot more visibility in AI.
Yeah, so it seems like it captures the long tail, whereas before you had to be in the pack to get noticed, to be part of the pack, and then make yourself a differentiator. And now you're able to make yourself the differentiator, and with the right tools that you guys have, you're able to find that. That's pretty amazing that he did that. A quick story: I did some cosmetic work on an Atlanta football player here, and just did it. We did some gold stuff on him. And this was pre-AI, but the word got out through the league that I did some fancy gold. It was nothing special. Shout out to my lab out there in California. But that's exactly what happened. You know, I thought, well, this is just going to happen once. I'll enjoy doing it and it's fun, but it took off. So now with AI, you have, 30 or 40 mavens screaming for you that can attract you into your office. That's the power of it. Before you couldn't, it would take, you had to hit a key person to do it.
Sure.
But it's really cool that you can drill down and get it. So you don't have to win everything at once. You pick a lane and you can be an authority there, and then it carries over, like your client in Baltimore. That's very interesting.
Yeah, and it's exactly that. It's, we pick a lane. It doesn't happen overnight. Anybody that tells you, hey, I'm going to get you number one in Chat GPT on tomorrow is lying, right? It just doesn't happen that fast. But with time and with steady presence, with content optimization, with content creation, we can pick lanes. We can pick several lanes. What we'll generally do is we'll start with like 5 niches topics, and we'll start building for all of them, and we'll see which one we can get to track first. Then we can build out more on the one that starts to track. And then we also at the same time have bought content for everything else that you want to do. Those more competitive terms, the Invisaligns of the world, the dental implants, the other things you really want to market because they're profitable. Our visibility starts going up for those as well, right? So it all kind of works in concert.
Yeah. Speaking of visibility, so if I wanted to talk to you or chat about it, there's a link that I can click before the webinar ends. Tell me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. We would love for you to schedule a half-hour call with our team, just to kind of give you an overview of what we can do for you. We'll take a look at your presence, talk about how we can help, and talk about how first we attract more patients to you, and then how we help you schedule more of them. But if you're really just interested in AI, right, maybe you're not ready to talk to our team yet, at least text AI to 470-704-3982. And we'll get you some information about getting a free AI visibility report, so you can find out where you stand in the markets. One of the things you'll learn in marketing, if you've ever probably worked with a marketing company, they've told you before, like searching for yourself can be kind of harmful, right? Because if you don't click through on something, you can hurt your own visibility, you can spend your ad budget. Let us do it for you. Let us run an AI visibility report for you, give you all the information you need on where you're currently showing up, where you could improve. Because there's more than one places where you might get displayed in AI, right? You've got Grok, which is the one run by Elon Musk and Twitter. You've got Gemini, which is the Google overviews that like come up at the top of a lot of search bars. ChatGPT, which is probably the market leader right now. Claude, that a lot of people in tech circles use. There's all these different places that AI exists, and we have to have a visibility plan for all of them, right? It's not like when we back in the day, we just had to optimize for Google. We have to figure it out for all of them.
Yeah, that's a lot of moving parts. And on the call, I'll tell you, it's not a high pressure call. They're not going to pin you down and make you sign something for 6 years. It's a very casual call. Not every office is a fit, which is great, but especially on AI, call and tap into Gary's knowledge about this, because I've learned some things talking to him that if I were still in practice today, I'd have to be using it. You're going to get left if you don't, but partner with somebody who knows it and who knows dental. So let's flip it around for a second, Gary. What's making it harder than it needs to be? Are there things dentists are doing that doesn't make sense? Like we talked in June, I talked to Lori on our webinar about, the first thing you think, patients, it's slow, let me cut back on marketing. How big of a mistake is that to do?
That's huge. A big mistake to make. It's one we're seeing a lot right now, right? With gas prices going up, fluctuating with the situation in Iran. When that happens, patient demand can soften, and it's natural to say like, hey, I got to cut expenses. But what you're doing there is you're going to a softer period of demand as well. So softer demand doesn't just mean softer new patient lead generation. It means softer treatment acceptance. Right. So if you are allowing your marketing to go down, not only are you writing off those new patients in the market, you're also going to have to deal with treatment acceptance getting harder. Right. So you're going to get squeezed on both ends. So you really kind of got to grin and bear it and still market through that if you want any chance of succeeding. Otherwise, you're going to get squeezed everywhere and you're not going to make your annual goals.
It's a knee-jerk reaction that people just want. I was in it and I thought I've got to cut back on everything, and it's counterintuitive. It's not really smart to do.
But we saw it in 2020 with the pandemic. The practices that cut back on their marketing were not the practices that thrived. One of the most successful practices I work with had one of their biggest periods of growth during 2020 because they were willing to market aggressively. They marketed what they were allowed to market, which was emergency procedures. And they grew aggressively during that time. And they've continued to grow since then. So one of the nice things about a softer market is sometimes you're not the only person that thinks, hey, I should cut back on marketing right now. A lot of your competitors might think that as well. So you have that opportunity to get in front of them. And, with 2020, that really changed the game. That practice I was referring to at the time in 2020 had 1 location. They're up to 5 now. And a lot of that growth happened during the pandemic, right? When everybody else was panicked and squeezed.
That happens in the stock market as well. There's the psychology behind it very similar to that. But like Gary said, take advantage, because I bet you 90% of dentists, maybe 95, are going to cut back in that. And that's when you should, put coal into the fire and burn it. So what if I'm sitting there, because it's moving so fast, Gary, AI is, if I'm just sitting there idle, what's going to happen if I'm on the sidelines waiting to see if I'm not fully, I'm not buying into AI. I'm saying, I don't know. So what's going to happen to my practice if I just sit idly?
It really doesn't matter if you're buying into AI or not. And I don't mean this to be rude to anyone listening, but Google has bought into AI and the government has bought into AI. And when they're bought in, everybody has to be bought in. A great example right now is Google is trying to become the market leader in AI. Right now, it's probably arguably ChatGPT. That's what people say. That's the Kleenex of AI, what you go to when you think of it. That's one of the reasons why Google has shifted their AI overview so far up, right? Because they're getting squeezed. They want to reclaim that market share from ChatGPT. Mm-hmm. So they are pushing those ads, those map listings further down and putting the AI up there so that they get broader use. So, you don't really have an alternative, right? Other than to play a kind of the AI game. You could sit and wait, but if you do that, you're going to get left behind by the practices that do optimize for it. Yeah. And I will tell you, there are going to be times being an early adopter in any technology where, you might try one thing for a couple months, then you have to try something new. But the alternative to that is to just admit defeat and get left behind, where you can have early mover advantage, right? A lot of these practices that would go into metro markets that are pretty competitive or difficult, like I'm thinking of Phoenix is a great example. I've got some clients in Phoenix, really tough market, one of the most saturated ones for dentists. When we're able to optimize for AI, we're getting them better leads than we were able to before, right? Because we have that early mover adopter. Even though there's a dentist on every block, most of them aren't optimized for AI. So we can get that early mover advantage. Right. So I think if you wait to see how it plays out, it's going to be too late. And you're going to end up spending a lot more time, a lot more effort, and honestly, probably a lot more money trying to catch up than if you just get in now.
Yeah, that's true. So when, a lot of people think if you just throw marketing dollars at it, you've got to have systems behind the marketing that are there. It doesn't, you could have the phone ring 100 times. So just help me go over and help them understand, because John and I did this when I worked with you guys, that you could, like you said, you could have a huge marketing budget, a very targeted budget. And if it brings it in, if you don't have systems in place, then it looks like you have an unsuccessful campaign, which is frustrating. But you guys, you tend to, you found my gaps and you stopped some leaks. So help people understand that it's not just, you're not just paying for Google search and AI and things like that and driving people in. You understand what's going on in the office, and it starts with a phone call.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, what I'm probably most passionate about, digital marketing I've been working in for a long time, but what I truly enjoy, I spend a lot of time on site with practices every year. I travel. I'm probably on site with practices 100 days out of the year almost. And what we do is we go and we train people on new patient intake and treatment acceptance because it's all part of that journey, right? As you said, if 100 people call but none of them schedule, it means nothing. Yep. So we listen to all those calls. We categorize them as scheduled, not scheduled. And we're going to go through and we're going to tell you why people didn't schedule. Hey, was this a price objection? Was this an insurance objection? Then we're going to give you very specific coaching on how to overcome that objection, right? Here is a system you can implement with your team. Same with treatment acceptance. We can get down to granular. We've got a presentation now where we go through code by code what you have unscheduled, because sometimes there's patterns, right? Your team might be killing it on scheduling most treatments, but on one thing, maybe they never get night guards. They never get that to a yes, or they struggle on root canals. With our systems and our technology, we can go in and we can pinpoint where those weaknesses are, and then we can provide you with the coaching you need to get those patients to yes. And that is as important, if not more important, than the whole marketing side of things.
I totally agree. You can have it's same as the system, all the systems in your office. if the people aren't trained and if you're not aware of, of what's happening, how the systems interplay, it really doesn't work optimally. You guys do a great job in that. I'm going to pivot for a second, Gary. This is where we start taking practice owner questions. Are you ready for some of these?
Absolutely. Fire away.
All right. Question number one is, what is your favorite standing rib roast recipe for Christmas? Nope, that's for November's episode. This one, we already have great reviews and a good Google profile. Are we fine?
You're
all right.
in a better position than most. I don't want to tell you yes. I also don't want to be panic and alarmist. Right now, you're probably okay. And like if you did some test searches on AI, you might actually think, hey, I'm showing up pretty well, but you don't have depth. You don't have depth of visibility. You don't have the content you need to really ensure that you stay up there. Because what can happen is even if you're showing up real well right now, if you haven't built the content, if you haven't done the due diligence, you're going to get passed as soon as someone does it. And it's pretty easy to pass you at that point because while those reviews are very, very important, it's not the only thing that Google's looking at. So the answer to that, in true lawyer fashion, I'm going to answer both ways and give you kind of the non-answer. You're better than most, but you're still at risk. So it's still something I would focus on either way.
Yeah, that was a good lawyer answer. That was kind of you answered. Now the political answer, you'd have danced around it for 30 minutes and told me what color my hair wasn't. So this one comes up. This next question came up a lot for me because I was a solo practitioner for many years. And I always wondered, can I actually compete with others? And will this work for me? As it's, gosh, I would say probably at least a half of the listeners right now are solo docs. So can I compete? And will your systems work for me?
Absolutely. In fact, one of the things that we can lean into is the fact that you're a solo practitioner, the fact that you're not attached to a DSO, that your experience is different. It was even harder, honestly, with Google Ads to compete because, you have those DSOs that can throw endless budget, endless amounts of money at Google Ads, and they can buy their way to the top. AI, it's harder to do that because, again, when we talk about people that are doing affinity searches, when they're saying like, hey, I want a female dentist, I want a gentle dentist, I want a Mormon dentist, right? There's all sorts of searches we see like that people ask AI, right? Because they just ask it more conversational. They get very direct in what they're looking for. Yeah. So we can compete, right? We find what makes you unique, what makes you stand out, what makes your USPs, your unique selling propositions, and we build content there. Right. So we can compete and we can help you compete on your terms as well, rather than just trying to go for, the standard dentist near me. It's still going to be hard to compete on some of those levels, right? DSOs that can throw endless money at everything, they're probably going to have a competitive advantage over there, but that's not the only only pathway to new patients. And it's not the pathway to better patients.
Right. That's the beauty of AI. You can pick, you can use a rifle instead of a shotgun. You can really target the patients that you want more so now than ever. I always tried to do that, but now it's crazy how deep you can get. I would rather have 10 to 15 really, really good patients like I want than 30. And I have to sift through 15 to get the ones that I want. I really like that part. So I'm picking up on the theme here. It's kind of AI. This is the theme. So any of you at home wondering, what's the best place? This is number 3 from Dr. Brenton Young in Shelby, North Carolina. What's the best place to start with an AI search?
Kind of 2 ways to answer that, right? If you want to know, hey, what's the best place to start with optimizing for AI search? Video content, right? Get video content, get a team in that records you talking about the procedures you're most passionate about, create a YouTube channel, get them embedded on your site. Because those transcripts are going to optimize, and that's probably a great place, right? And it's going to give you an advantage. But if you're just like asking in general, like, hey, how can I check or find visibility? Just go to Google right now, right? You type in almost anything, it's going to give you an AI overview at the top. Start with something like, if you want to ask like, hey, are the Dallas Cowboys going to finally be good this year? And then it'll give you an answer about why they're not going to be. And you can ask good follow-up questions from there. But like, AI mode is in the top left of there, and Google will help you. ChatGPT also has free versions. So if the question is how to optimize, I would start with the video shoot. If the question is where to start, honestly, just Google using Gemini and then probably ChatGPT.
Right. Right. We've covered a lot of ground today, but I think everybody here can understand that the common theme of this is AI and the AI search. If you use it to your advantage, if I were still in practice, I would love this because I could really hone in on the patients that I want. And it's going to change the way people find a dentist the same way they did Yellow Pages, did back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And the practices that understand it, and like Gary said, that don't sit idle. You've got to change, and it doesn't have to be huge steps where you've got your own, AI running in your office, which a few docs do. That's great. Early adopters way ahead of it. Just take some small steps and get into it because it will take off, and you don't want to look in hindsight with that. And it seems that the logarithmic curve of AI is growing way faster than you can keep up with, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we could record another episode of this in 3 months, and some of the strategies will have changed and evolved. It was similar, with paid search and SEO as those channels matured, but now is the chance to do it and get in front of it and be ahead of all your competition.
Yeah. Well, I know how, but you tell the listeners how they can book a strategy session with you guys.
First things first, we'd love to talk to you guys, talk to you about how we can help you grow, about how we can help you achieve whatever your goal is to hire an associate, open another location, drop insurance. We can help you get there. And a lot of it starts with new patients and better patients, right? To do that, you're going to want to go to amplify360.com/schedule a call, fill it out. Our team will be in contact. Half-hour low pressure call. If you're not ready to do that, or you just want more information on AI in general, we are offering a free AI visibility report. We can let you know where you stand currently. Just text AI to 470-704-3982. That's 470-704-3982 to get your report. And, I can't wait to talk to you and have our team talk to you and see what we can do to help you.
I think it'd be a very worthwhile thing. I did it. I can vouch for you guys. You helped me a lot along the way. I just want to say, appreciate you coming on, and I would love to come on at least in 6 months and compare this, and maybe another 6 months to keep looking back. We'll probably laugh at this going, look how things have changed. But I appreciate your time being here. I'd love to go over it again. And it should give you a clear picture. If you're listening to this, a clear picture of what's shifting and what you guys can do about it. So if you have any questions, stay in touch with us at amplify360.com. Until next time, I'm Frank Clayton, and we will see you soon.
Thanks, Frank.